Hello folks, what's up? As discussed in the previous video, titled How RRR Hooked Americans, where I talked about how English-speaking audiences actively avoided Indian films, but yet RRR set all those traps to lure them into the film and hook them in. If you've not seen that video, please check it out. It's on this same channel, How RRR Hooked Americans. Now, as a background, I must have talked to hundreds of people from around the world about Hollywood films and Indian films. Most people I talked to told me that they would not watch any Indian film. The first reason given by most people is that it's because Indian films are musicals, or they would say that they have songs and dance. A lot of people just said, oh, people just suddenly break into song and dance in Indian films, and that was the main reason given to me by most of the people I have talked to on why they do not watch Indian films or would not be willing to watch an Indian film as well. So I realized almost everyone has the same stereotypical view of Indian cinema, that these films are musicals where people just randomly break out into song and dance sequences in the film. And this is the biggest reason people give as to why they would not watch an Indian film. If this is the kind of impression everyone has, and this is the main reason for them to not watch Indian films, then how did these same people not only accept the musical numbers in RR, but are also going gaga over them? So what has happened? So looks like we need to analyze this film a little bit more. We need to look into this film in more detail to find out the answer to this question. How did RRR get people to accept the song and dance numbers in the film? The people who would never accept such a song and dance and would give that as the reason for not watching Indian films. So what did RRR do here to get those people in? Even before we talk about RRR, we need to understand the reasons. Why is it that English-speaking audience do not like music or dance numbers in a film? Or why is it that they decide not to watch any film from India simply because those films are known to have songs and dance? We need to go back in history to find an answer to this question. There was no such stigma attached to musicals or songs and dance in a film in the past. In fact, it had been the exact opposite. Hollywood had produced some of the finest musicals in the history of cinema, which include Singing in the Rain in 1952, who can forget that? West Side Story in 1961, one of the most amazing musicals ever. Sound of Music in 1965, right? And then, imagine, who can forget Grease in 1978, right? And you can see the films I mentioned here are not children's films, but we are talking about mainstream cinema which was liked by men, women and children alike. These films were not branded as women's films or children's films or gay films. Instead, all these films were as appealing to men, straight men, as they were to women. But over time this changed in such a way that now any musical coming out of Hollywood is either considered a children's film, like Disney films, you see, they're still musical, all of them, most of them, or they're considered women's films, like Pitch Perfect. And a lot of times there is that stigma attached nowadays that straight men don't want to be seen liking musical films. So things have changed. So why did that happen? Why did this change happen in Hollywood? Again, there are a lot of theories people have and a lot of reasons for decline of musicals in Hollywood, but there is no clear and definitive answer to this. So people can come up with their own theories and reasons. So, I also have my own theories on this topic. Some people may agree, some people may disagree. It's fine. Like, everyone has different theories, so I also have my own theories. But one thing, regardless of those theories, one thing is absolutely clear, that the society changed in general, and singing and dancing in movies started being considered to be for women or children. That is a fact that everyone can acknowledge and understand. I do not believe there was a social reason by itself, because if it had been 100% social change, then even regular songs and music videos would have been shunned by men. But that is not the case. You know, you can see that people, like even men, do listen to music. They do watch music videos on, music channels. So that's not the case. Only music and dance in films somehow started being considered unmanly. So that was the social change. So it wasn't, I do not believe it's 100% social change. That otherwise men would have avoided all music and all music videos. That did not happen. It was only in the films that they started avoiding. Right? So I believe there is more than social factors. It was a change in direction that Hollywood took for some reason. And what reason is it is? It's anyone's guess. You can come up with your own theories on that. I also happen to have a peculiar theory about it. The thing is, the change in Hollywood treatment of musicals coincided with muscle flexing by Bollywood. There had been Indian films which got critical acclaim before, most notably things like Pakhe Panchali. But it was in early 1970s when films like Mera Naam Joker and Disco Dancer achieved major box office success in Russian and European markets. Bollywood as such has always been successful in Africa or Middle East, even before 1970s. But it was in 1970s it achieved not just critical acclaim, but commercial success in Western markets. It means wide audiences. So my question is, what if that was a deliberate ploy by Hollywood to protect its stronghold in Western markets? What if they simply propagated that message that musicals are not meant for men, so that their core audiences do not drift towards their biggest competitor? Now think about that. Let me know what you think could be the reason for this change in attitude. Like I've given you like my own theory. You might have your own theory. So let's just put that down in the comment. Let's see. Let's discuss them. Now coming back to RRR now. In the first video in RRR series titled How RRR Hooked Americans, I've shown how the early stages of the film have all those hooks which grab people's attention and keep luring them into watching a little bit more until they're trapped into the plot of the film, unable to get away. Most people get hooked into RRR by the time the title card of the film comes up. However, as soon as the title card shows up, immediately there is a massive tonal shift in the film. Straight after the crazy train rescue action scene, RRR switches to a musical number. Not only is a massive tonal shift, but the Hollywood fans find themselves watching the very thing they dislike. Okay, so let's look at it more closely now to see why is it that when that musical number comes up, people who do not want musical numbers in their films, they accepted that. How did RRR make them accept that musical number at that point? To understand that, let's look at the preceding scenes from that musical number. Immediately after the train rescue sequence, we see the title card of the film, and then film immediately shifts its tone to the two protagonists being BFFs, and you see a musical number with a montage of their friendship. Now, when you think about it, the chapters before the title card are all about introducing the characters and setting the plot. By this time, audience have been mostly exposed to things which they do not find unfamiliar. The language is mostly English, the characters are mostly white, so they may have as well been watching an English film until this point. So when that song starts, this is the first instance when audience find themselves get exposed to the Indianness of the film. This is the first time they realize they're watching a musical film from India and they are watching a song. But it's not easy to switch off at this point though. The key question is, why is it so? By the time this song comes up, people have already seen these three amazing action sequences. And when the title card comes up, it becomes clear that it is the beginning of the film. You know, there is so much more to come. Curiosity has already been created, and audience have already realized that they are in for a ride. If the beginning scenes are the way they are, what kind of action could they anticipate later on? Uh, so audience are now in a mode where they want to see what more this film has in store for them. And that's exactly the moment when the film just switches into a song. But as soon as the song starts, it is very difficult for anyone to switch off immediately at this point. Regardless of how they feel about having a musical number in a film. On the other hand, the musical number that comes up at this stage is a hook by itself. It is narrational. It is simply explaining how these two people who are supposed to be enemies have now become best friends. So what is going to happen now? It's creating even further curiosity, it's creating a further hook. It evokes even more curiosity, so instead of audiences feeling distracted by the song, they get even further hooked into the film. Also, this particular song is a background score, and while this song is playing, there is a montage of Ram and Bhim becoming best friends. There is no dance in this song. So again, it's easier for audiences who dislike song and dance in the film to accept this song. So RRR eases the audiences who dislike song and dance into this film through this narrational background song without a dance. I have a question in my mind. What if the film had a song and dance number early on in the film, before it eased the audience in or hooked them in? Then would the audience have still accepted this film? I would like to know what are your thoughts on this. Like, what are your thoughts? Let me know in the comments. So, first song, we can understand why the audience accepted it. It's background score, it's narrational, it's a hook, it's creating further curiosity rather than being, a hindrance. So, it got accepted. So, the audience got eased into the fact that it's a musical film and they are going to see songs in this film. But they did not see that dance, because whenever you ask someone why they don't want Indian films, they would tell you song and dance, song and dance. They never say it has songs, they say it has song and dance. So first song did not have dance, so it did not meet that criteria. So our audience got eased in. And by the time the next song that comes onto the screen, that song actually has a dance number too. The very reason most of the people give for not watching Indian films. The thing is, the criticism that Western audience put on Indian films is justified to a certain extent, because a lot of Indian films put song or dance in the film for the sake of it. And quite often it does take people out of the storyline as well, because those songs are not necessary. They should not have been there. Right? RRR, however, sets this up beautifully. The song and dance is woven very well into the story. It is a part of the story and does not take viewers out of the story. On top of that, the build-up leading to that song and dance shows an evil white guy insulting Bhim for lack of culture, which then escalates to a dance-off till you drop. This song and dance is set up more as a fight between good and evil and battle of resilience instead of just a song and dance. Dance itself is very good and very energetic. So overall it works very well. The thing we have to understand is that music and dance is a natural art form that affects everyone. Yes, many people may avoid watching it in films due to social context, but if they are exposed to it, then chances are they could like it. And in this particular case, RRR does a very good job of it. People are watching a battle between imperialists and our protagonists, who they have already connected with, rather than watching a song and dance. There are so many reviewers talking about like that song and dance itself being like an action sequence, not just a dance. That's how energetic that dance sequence is, and that's the sort of context within which that song and dance has been put into the story. And it's part of the story. So it's easy for people to accept that kind of a song and dance in the film. The impact it has on the people is this, that instead of finding a reason to switch off the film at this point because they're suddenly witnessing song and dance in the film, the audiences are left wondering, what if Jason Statham and Vin Diesel broke into a song and dance number in the middle of Fast and Furious? And I've heard those comments as well. So that's the sort of impact this particular film has. There are two more songs in the film, one where Bhim is getting flogged and one in the end as part of end credits. However, by the time these two songs come around, it no longer matters. The audiences have been eased into musical numbers by first a musical number that plays in background, evoking more curiosity, and then by a hardcore song and dance. Once RRR has made them sit through the very thing that they disliked and forced them to reconsider their view of songs and dance in a film, then from that point on, it does not matter how many songs you want to put in that film. Audience is ready for it. They've already given up. They've already accepted it. Now think for a second here. Within the larger context, forget about just making people accept song and dance in this film. RRR has actually changed the social context. Can you imagine? No longer would the song and dance sequences in a film be considered as meant for children or women or gays. No longer would there be any stigma attached to straight men liking musicals. So this film has gone a step further. It has not only made people who dislike having songs and dance in the film start liking those dance and song sequences in this film, but it has changed their perception and their view of cinema. That's the sort of change this film has brought. So this discussion should not be about how RRR made people accept its song and dance sequences, but about how RRR changed the social context by making the songs and dance sequences mainstream. How it has changed the Western view of cinema. It's that kind of a film. I would like to hear your thoughts on this. Please put down in comments below what your thoughts are on this topic. There is so much more to analyze in RRR, so I would be making more videos on this film. I would also be putting my recommendations for newly converted fans of Indian cinema. I have a vision to make India Curated a window into India, whether it is films that global audience may like, songs, places to visit, recipes, or whatever else that may be relevant to global audience. Anything from India that might interest the global audience. So I will be curating that sort of content and putting it on my channel. So if you could please support this channel by liking, commenting, and subscribing to this channel, that would be amazing. And I thank you for watching this video. Take care and enjoy RRR. Bye.